Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is the third video that I'm creating about analyzing my Strava data because recently and earlier this month I completed my 15,000 kilometer of running. So in case you haven't watched the previous two videos, in the first one I used this Python script in order to fetch my data from Strava, and I was able to create a database and created one table in that database with all my activities from Strava. And I updated this table before starting recording this video. Currently I have 1,509 activities. And if I check here my activities tab in my Strava account, we can see that this is correct. Then in this video, I would like to actually I've already created a table with my running shoes, and I would like to see exactly how much money I spent on running shoes in order to get to this number, which is more than 15,000 kilometers of running. So before recording this video, I already created a table called running shoes, and it's going to contain these 8 columns. We'll have the shoe ID, and we will use this in order to link each shoe to each running activity, the date that I bought the shoe, the brand, the shoe name, whether the shoe is still active or not, obviously the price and the currency. Now, in case you'll be following my channel, you know that I'm from Bulgaria, so most of those shoes I bought in Bulgarian currency, but since we adopted euro earlier this year as of 1st of January 2026, then in the table all the currencies will be in euro. And if I run the table now, we can see that I have 27 rows, and this is how the table looks like. And yeah, apparently this data, the prices, are not stored in Strava yet. So I had to do a lot of researching. I had to check my bank statements and so on, because as you can see, many of those shoes I bought 3-4 years ago. And yeah, maybe I should note that as I'm recording this video, it is 21st of March 2026. So now I think is the moment of truth for me. In order to get how much money I spent on running shoes, then all I need to do is right select sum, and I need to sum the price column from dbo.running shoes. And if I run this, now it's going to return 3,426 euros. Now I need to underline that that's not the total amount, because when I started running, I didn't know the Strava application so well, and I didn't know that there was such feature to update your running shoes. And if I check this table once again with my Strava activities, then you see here the gear ID, which is the shoe ID in the other table. For many of my runs earlier in my running career, this value is null. That means that I haven't updated the correct running shoe, and maybe I can see exactly how many activities like that I have. So all I need to do is right select count from DBO Strava activities, where the activity type is run, because I also have some rights, and the gear ID is null. So there are 270 activities, and maybe I can sum the distance in kilometers. So more than 3,000 kilometers I have run with shoes that are not known. So I would expect that this number is actually close or even more than 4,000 euro. And keep in mind that this is just the money that I spent on running shoes. And obviously, if I add to this the other running equipment, plus all the money I spent on traveling to especially international races, like airplane tickets, hotels, and whatever. I think probably the total spent by me on this running hobby I have will probably be close to maybe between 15 to 20,000 euro. So if someone tells you that running is a cheap hobby, then you might as well not believe them. So now I'm gonna use my data and I'm gonna use SQL in order to analyze the data behind my running, because my channel is above all about data automation and data analytics. So now let's see how much I spent average. What's the average I spent on running shoes? Now here I could also add the count. And if I divide the sum by count, then I'm gonna get the average. So yeah, I have bought 27 pairs of running shoes. And one way to get the average is simply divide the sum by count. But of course, in SQL, there is the average function, which is easier to be used. So I can use the average. I think the column name was price as I'm gonna give this an alias as average per shoes from dbo.running shoes. So I'm not gonna bother with rounding this amount, because in the end of the day, this is not exactly an SQL tutorial video, but it seems that on average I have spent 127 euros per pair of running shoes. Now let's get to the next one, shoe count and price per brand. So let's see the table once again. Now all I have to do is obviously to group by the brand column. So I can write here, select brand, count from dbo.running shoes, and then group by brand. And let's order by count in descending order, and let's give this an alias of count per brand. And maybe I should also add the, actually I'm not gonna add the distance now because I need to join the table, but I can add the total price that I spent per brand. Actually, that was the idea, right? So count and then sum of price as price per brand. So let's run this. And yeah, I like to experiment with different brands. So above all, I've used Nike's shoes, and I have bought 11 shoes of Nike and 8 of Asics and whatever. It's strange that I have never bought Adidas according to my data. Yeah, maybe I should correct this mistake later this year. Now let's get to the next one, total distance per shoe. Now this is a little bit trickier to write, because in the running shoes table, we don't have obviously the distances. So to get this, I'll have to write a join and join this table with the activities. And this is where I'm going to use the shoe ID. The shoe ID from the running shoes table will have to match the gear ID from the Strava activities table. I won't need to filter additionally on the activities type, because the left table, and actually I'm gonna use an inner join, and since I only have running shoes in the running shoes table, I don't have bikes, then this should work. So total distance per shoe, and I'm gonna write select star from DBO running shoes, and I'm gonna give this table an alias RS, and then join DBO Strava activities. Then I'm gonna give alias for this table SA, and we're gonna make an inner join where the shoe ID column from the running shoes equals the gear ID column from Strava activities. Now I'm not gonna get all the columns from both tables. I'm gonna get the name, actually the brand, comma, the name of the shoe. It's shoe underscore name. Okay. And we need to sum the distance from the Strava activities column. So sum sa.distance underscore kilometers. And let's give this an alias as total distance per shoe. And then we need to write the group by, since we're using a grouping function. So group by, and let's paste this. And then finally, let's write order by sum in descending order. So if I click run now, then it seems that the most I have covered in ASICS Super Blast Red. It was the first edition from the Super Blast series, and I think this is probably my all-time favorite shoe, as I have covered more than 1,000 kilometers, and I can prove that this is correct. I think this information should be available in my Strava account. So if I click here on my profile, I think it seems that it only shows my active shoes, because a lot of those I retired. So let's just pick one to ensure that the data is actually correct. So let's see, ASICS Metaspeed Sky Paris. So according to Strava, I should have 304.6 kilometers. So yeah, it seems that that's correct. I'm not sure if I'm able here to see my retired shoes. Maybe if I click on edit. Okay, yeah, so I have 16 shoes that are retired. And yeah, this is the data I was looking for. So ASICS Super Blast Red, 1091.7 kilometers. And this is exactly the data that I have here. So now let's proceed to the next one. Total spent per brand. Actually, I think we've already done this, no? So there's no need to do it again. I'm not sure why I have written this twice. Now the next thing is amount spent per year and per month. So let's see the table once again. Apparently I need to use the date bold column, and to get the amount spent per year, I should use the year function first to extract the year from the date bold column as year, and then I can simply sum the price from dbo.running-shoes and then group by year date underscore bold. And if I order by sum price in descending, then we will see exactly in which year I spent most money. And let's give this also an alias as total spent per year. Let's see if this is going to work. And it seems that most money I've spent in 2022, 1,200 euros. And yeah, in 2026, as I'm recording this video, I've only spent 130 euro. You know, I mentioned in the previous two videos that I've been dealing with some injuries, and At least when you're injured, you don't spend as much money on running. All right, let's proceed to the next one, which is very similar to this. Amount spent per month. Now, once again, I'll have to use the year here. Date both as year, but I also need to extract the month. And then everything else is more or less the same. So I'm just gonna copy it here. And apparently I need to group not just by the year, but also by the month. So let's copy this. And we're not allowed to use aliases in the group by statement. That's why it's complaining now. So let's delete this part. I believe everything else should be the same, but yeah, maybe I should change this to total spent per month. And it seems that most money I spent in May of 2022, 320 euro. And now let's see the shoe rotation in the month I covered the most distance. Now in the previous video, I wrote a query that showed which month I covered most distance. Yeah, I think it was this one, the month I covered most distance. So if I execute this, we can see that in July of 2024, I covered 517 kilometers. So now let's see exactly what was my shoe rotation, as we runners call it, or in other words, how many shoes I used to cover this distance. So once again, I'll have to join the two tables. So let's write select star from dbo.running shoes, which I will call rs. Join dbo Strava activities SA on rs.shoe id equals sa.gear id. And I need to filter from the Strava activities table. I need to filter only those activities with a start date in July of 2024. So here I'm gonna write where SA.start date is greater than or equal to 2024-07-01 or 1st of July, and SA.start date is less than or equal to 2024-07-31st. So this will filter only the activities in July of 2024, and I don't need to specifically filter on the activity type run because I'm joining only the running shoes, and this is an inner join. And if I get, let's get the brand from the running shoes table and the name, and I'm gonna get the count, meaning how many times I used the, okay, this was shoe underscore name. I don't know why I always mistype this. The count as, let's say, times underscore used. And let's sum the distance, this column here, distance in kilometers as distance per shoes. And then obviously I'll have to write group by again. And maybe let's order by this in descending. And let's execute it. And it seems that this month I think I covered 42 runs, if I'm not mistaken. And most of those runs were with New Balance Rebel V4, which I think is a very favorite shoe of mine because it's bouncy, it's light, and it's not super expensive as most super shoes. And other than that, I've also used the On Cloud Surfer 7. And many of my shoes were obviously with ASICs. And I already mentioned that Super Blast is probably one of my all-time favorite shoes. And I used also Saucony Endorphin and Nike Vaporfly for some speed sessions. And now let's check which are those shoes that I covered more than 700 kilometers. Yeah, when I buy running shoes, I hope that they will give me at least 500 kilometers because, there is this annoying trend that the prices of running shoes is constantly increasing. And I think some shoes are, you know, now are probably priced at 3 to even 400 euros, which is crazy. So now at least let's see which are those shoes that have covered me more than 700 kilometers. And actually, I think I can reuse. I can reuse this query instead of writing it from scratch. Now, one way to do this will be to use this as a subquery, but apparently in SQL we can use the halving clause. So here I can write halving sum say that distance underscore kilometers is greater than or equal to 700. I think everything else should be the same. I'm not sure why it's complaining. Yeah, it's complaining because the halving clause should be after the group by, of course. So this should come here. So let's run. And yeah, maybe I should order by this and descending for better visibility. Yeah, as expected, the Super Blast rate, I covered more than 1,000 kilometers and more than 900 kilometers with Nike Zoom X Invincible 2. I think they no longer produce these shoes. And yeah, I also used the Joe Nimbus 25 and more than 900 kilometers. The Metaspeed Sky, almost 900 kilometers, which is very good because this is a racing expensive shoe. And yeah, it seems that I've covered also more than 700 kilometers in New Balance Fresh Foam 1080 V12. And then last one for today would be top shoes for long distance running or more than 20 kilometers. I think I should probably reuse most of this so I don't write it from scratch. And here I'm gonna remove this because I need to filter where the distance from the Strava activities table is greater than or equal to 20. And I don't need to group by. Top shoes for long running distance. If I run this, then yeah, actually I need to group by in order to see the how many times I used with those. So group by these two. And again, order by count and ascending. And let's give this an alias as times underscore used. So yeah, it seems that I have more than 13 activities of more than 20 kilometers with Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 2. And I've also used Metaspeed Sky for I have apparently more exactly 10 activities that I've run more than 20 kilometers. So that's going to be it for today. I believe this is going to be my last video for now analyzing my Strava data. Apparently, at some point, I will create a Power BI dashboard that will show a lot more. It will provide me with better insights than the Strava app. And yeah, that's going to be it from me. And if you have any questions, then please drop them in the comments. And you can also comment what is your favorite running shoe in case you're a hobby runner as myself. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.